Hey, what's up everyone? This is Snackbox. Hope you all are having an amazing day. Guys, in this video, I want to show you a pretty solid team for this week in Chimera to get mythical mats. And I was able to get 20 mythical mats with this team, which is absolutely amazing. But not only 20 mats, and this is, by the way, the most amount of mats I ever got from one key, you will also be able to get a reasonable amount of clash points and damage. And look at this. So 4.41 billion clash points, 16 trials in total, so pretty good amount of trials as well. 215 million damage. Now here you can already see a couple of hints how I built those champions, what was needed and so on, the blessings and everything. But before we go into that, I want to talk about the trials itself. Also, why I used these champions that are in here. This is a very common concept for a team, right? Lady MIKAGE with a Shadowkin damage dealer alongside Lydia and the Reviver. The only factor that, is kind of not accessible to everyone. Obviously, SIPHI is a Void Legendary. And then you have ARBAIS, which is a mythical champion. And I don't think you can actually replace her in this team. I'm pretty sure there are other teams that can do this, right? Maybe get even 25 mythical mats in total, but this is what I can do, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did it, what you need to pay attention to, and yeah, so let's jump right into it. So on the ramp form, we start here with the trials number 1, where we have to damage the chimera while it is under fear and true fear, so we need to bring fear. Then for the normal trial, we need to damage the chimera with skills that are scaled based on enemy max HP. So, for example, a Marius or a Newt max HP hit would count, but also War Master or Giant Slayer, they count as well for this trial, as well as poisons, HP burns, and smite debuffs. So all these debuffs can also help with this trial. I don't have a smite debuff in this team because I didn't want to fill up the debuff bar as I used the toxic set on Lydia, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why I'm using a toxic set later when we get to the Viper form. Then on the hard trial, we need to fully deplete the Chimera's dual bar within 5 of its turns. And this is actually only possible if you complete the first 2 trials, the easy and the normal one, in the first cycle, because the ramp form only places the dual bar, or like the dual debuff or whatever it is, the dual target, at the start of the cycle with the first turn. And then it's, the passive or the skill is on a 5-turn cooldown. So you actually have to complete these first 2 trials in the first cycle to be able to complete this third one in the second cycle. And for this trial right here, we are actually using ARBAIS, and I'm going to show you how. So very important for the first cycle of the ramp form is to have the revive on death on everybody. I mean, not on everybody, but you want to place a revive on death because the dual target is going to get absolutely wrecked. In this case, it's ARBAIS, and there's a reason why it is ARBAIS. This is very important. Anyway, now we actually need to deal damage while the ramp form is under fear. So my main goal is just place fear and then deal as much damage as possible. And actually, if Lydia converts her fear into true fear, you won't get reflected damage and you can just go ham with Harima. But the revive on death was really important because then I don't need to use SIPHI's revive to get our base back up. I can save it for Harima, for example, in case the true fear doesn't land or some of the champions die for whatever reason. I can get them back up quicker. And here you can see now we're at turn count 6, right? And I dealt 671k damage. In the first cycle, you're still kind of stacking up damage with Harima, stacking up the defense, Nature's Wrath, the Erratic Coronet, and all that is still stacking up. So I'm not dealing that much damage, but I'm trying to stack it up as quick as possible, to be able to complete these trials here fast enough. But a pretty cool moment here is when the ramp form stunned Lady MIKAGE, and because of that, Lydia was counter-attacking and placing a true fear debuff, which was absolutely amazing. That gave me freedom to just use Harima's A2, put out more damage, stack her defense even higher, and go all in with like ally attacks as well. But here I saw I need another 300,000 damage. I was debating if I should increase the debuffs, the duration of the debuffs, or deal the last 300k damage. But I decided for the 300k damage because I can just re-debuff, the decreased defense and weaken and all that stuff. So it wasn't really a huge problem. And now I basically need to deal max HP damage, poison damage, HP burn, and smite. Having Lydia in a toxic set helped with that a little bit, right? It's like a couple of thousand damage. But I also have War Master on Lady Mikage, SIPHI, and Lydia. And I have HP burn with ARBAIS, which I tried to sustain over the next couple of turns because I really need to complete those 2 trials to be able to complete the dual bar trial. And here you can actually see Harima is dead, but it doesn't really matter. It's not really what I care about. And the ally attacks actually helped a lot to complete this trial with the max HP damage because, as I said, the War Master procs from Lydia and SIPHI and Mikage, they really helped to deal with this trial. Also, I completed all 3 trials from trials number 2. That was just a byproduct. I didn't really go for it. Just happened. And yeah, it was pretty amazing. So I completed 5 trials in the first RAM cycle. Now here is a very important part, a very key moment for this run, because the only way for me to complete this trial with the dual bar is if ARBAIS, which is my target, puts up that stone skin before switching to the RAM form, so the dual bar or the dual debuff will be placed on ARBAIS. If the dual target gets killed, the dual bar disappears. That's why the dual target needs to survive, and the stone skin of the A3 here in the alternate form from ARBAIS guarantees that. That's why this is a key moment right here. I actually did a mistake in a run before that, where I also completed all the other trials, but the turn meter from the Chimera was at like 75% or something, and I was thinking, maybe I can get another turn with ARBAIS, but it wasn't happening, so I didn't put on the stone skin, and yeah, then, I basically couldn't complete the dual target trial, but here it worked absolutely fine. As you can see, I put up the stone skin, the Chimera is about to switch forms, there we go. Dual target debuff goes on ARBAIS, and there we have the dual bar right there. 8 million damage it is. That's what we need to do. And for that, it's also not really easy to deal that amount of damage to the RAM form. You really have to be lucky with a lot of True Fear procs. And this was actually very close because the Fear of Lydia was proccing like every single turn. It was actually insane, and because of that, ARBAIS didn't place decreased speed a single time, so the ramp form would just go crazy with the turn meter, and I didn't really have a lot of time to deplete the dual bar. So it was actually pretty insane and intense. In the end, here you can see Harima died with the first hit, and in the end, it was very, very close. Let me actually move a little bit forward. But here, the fear procced, as you can see. Now it will actually proc again, and I actually never placed decreased speed. So yeah, here you can see turn count 39. It's very, very close. Harima is about to die again from reflect damage. I have like 2.7 million damage left that I need to do. And yeah, it was crazy. Here, luckily, the fear didn't proc. I placed a decreased speed, but it got reflected. So I didn't have decreased speed for the whole second ramp form cycle. And that was absolutely torturing me because I thought, man, I'm not gonna be able to complete it this time just because of the true fear procs or the fear procs in general. And then the decreased speed gets reflected as well. Like I'm cooked here. But I have the purged Shadow Relic on SIPHI coming in clutch with an extra turn. Now I am reviving Harima, and I was actually thinking, wait a minute, I don't have fear on the ram form. If I revive Harima now, Harima will kill herself with the reflect damage. And then I was thinking, maybe Lydia will take a turn before Harima, because remember SIPHI revives with 100% turn meter, right? So that was insane. Like I was debating, should I revive? Should I not? Should I A1? I don't even really know. Like I'm like at turn count 40, right? So it's like the ram form is about to switch forms again, and I won't be able to complete this trial. So it was really intense, and I was already like half an hour into this run and already tried it for like 1.5 hours to complete all these trials. And you know, I didn't really want to make a mistake here to run it over and over again. But in the end, I said, if I do the A1, I won't complete it anyway. So I have to revive, right? I have to revive. It doesn't matter what else I do. If I do anything else, I won't be able to complete it anyway. So I might just revive Harima and see what happens. So I revived Harima, and bam, Lydia took a turn first before Harima. There we go with the true fear. I have the A2 ready. That's like 750k damage. Now I need another 1.4 million. And I was like, holy, still not enough. But Lady MIKAGE goes in with an ally attack and gets an extra turn again. Like the RNG was first against me, and then it turned, and the whole momentum just flipped around with the extra turns. Look at that. Even 2 extra turns back to back. And I was able to complete this trial, and I was so happy here. I wish I actually had it recorded. I was so happy. I jumped up, and I was literally celebrating that I finally did it. I really have to admit the RNG was here on my side, but also against me at first. So it was like a back and forth, and it was really intense. But in the end, I completed this trial, and yeah, it was pretty damn amazing. So on the line form, we have a total amount of 9 mythical eyeballs here, and I actually ignored the first trial here because I don't have block damage and unkillable on my team, so there's no way for me to complete this. But I'm pretty sure there is a team where you can do this, maybe with a Fina, right? She provides that block damage. I don't know if that's enough or not, but I don't have this champion, and you know, I just did what I can, so I could just focus on the ones that I can complete. That's pretty much it. So on trials number 2, we have to damage the chimera within 3 of its turns. Pretty easy, 5 unique buffs. We can do that. We have a lot of buffs. Lydia, SIPHI, Lady MIKAGE, ARBAIS, all champions are buffing, so absolutely no problem. Damage the chimera while it is under decreased speed and decreased defense debuffs. Only counts damage from skills, also no problem. We have both of them. Both debuffs are actually pretty mandatory for the chimera fight in general. You should always have those debuffs. Damage the chimera with counterattacks and ally attack skills. Lady MIKAGE and Harima will just blast through these trials. I don't even have to show this to you. It's just, you know, on the line form, there's not much I can show you. Basically just buff up, keep your champions alive, keep the buffs up, keep the strengthen up, the increased defense, so you don't get blasted by the line form. That is pretty important, and the decreased attack as well, so the damage is reduced. And other than that, I'm just going full out with damage. Now on the Viper form, that's where it gets a little bit trickier, because first we have to damage the chimera while it is under a block active skills debuff to enable the mythical eyeballs. You can get a total amount of 8 from the Viper form. That one is actually easier to do than damage the chimera within 2 of its turns while it is under block buffs and HP burn debuffs and has no active buffs. We have the HP burn from ARBAIS. We have the block buffs from Lydia as well. She places it at the same time with the block active skills, and with all the ally attacks, we can pretty much just rush through these trials. And then on the third trial here, on the hard one, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Damage the chimera while it is under 10 debuffs, and it must not be under block active skills debuff. So that is a pretty interesting one, because at first you gotta bring enough debuffs. You need to fill up the debuff bar completely without block active skills. For me to be able to do that with this team, I had to put Lydia in a toxic set. I didn't want to put Lady MIKAGE in a toxic set, because I thought if I keep MIKAGE in a Relentless said, I'm getting all these extra turns and I can do much more damage and even, complete some of these trials much easier. So I didn't want to sacrifice that. And I thought I'll just sacrifice the extra damage from Lydia's Feral set for additional debuffs so I can complete this trial right here. And it worked perfectly fine. So let me show you this. Now, going into the Viper form, as always, you don't want to have any buffs on your champions. Continuous heals are cool. Anything else, you don't want to have that on your champions. I want to keep my ARBAIS in the alternate form every time the chimera swaps forms, so then I instantly have the decreased speed on the chimera, right? That is very important for me, so I can, put out my debuffs, get situated, heal up, and all that stuff. I'm placing the HP burn and leech. Obviously, I'm just, putting up all the debuffs and buffs, as I said. And very important is that you place at block active skills at first, because that's the first thing you have to do in this trial. You have to damage the chimera under block active skills, and that is very important. Now here also a very important little detail is that I have Master Hexa on Lydia, and if block buffs gets extended by Master Hexa, as you can see here, block active skills has a 2-turn duration and block buffs has a 3-turn duration. This is the best case scenario, because here I'm always extending the poison sensitivity with Lydia's A1, so I don't really worry about that. But for the last trial, remember, I need to have 10 debuffs without block active skills. So I want the block active skills to run out. The block active skills will run out before the block buffs, and that means just one more debuff. One less debuff I have to put on the Viper form as soon as the block active skills runs out. So also I need to be very cautious with like extending debuffs, because I don't want the block active skills to be too long. I want it to run out at the last turn, so I have no threat from the Viper form that the Viper form is going to use any skills, and I can just safely go out with all my damage and try to complete this last trial. So here you can see it, turn 29. We have 1 turn left on block active skills. We have poison sensitivity, block buffs, decrease defense. We can leech, HP burn, decrease speed, and decrease attack. The poison debuff will get removed every turn, every time the Viper form takes a turn, right? So after the Viper form takes a turn now, there will be 8 debuffs left. That means I need to place another 2 poisons with Lydia's toxic set. And for that, the ally attack really helps. So here you see, Viper form takes a turn, the poison got removed. Also, you can see here, I'm very cautious with what I'm doing, because I don't want to mess it up, right? I'm also thinking about, should I put up buffs, because I'm swapping to the normal chimera form, and the chimera form will strip my buffs and deal more damage and so on. So it was really dangerous sometimes, especially in situations like this, but I had to use the ally attack. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to complete this trial. And here I'm placing the last poison with Lydia. The ally attack placed the first one with Lydia, then the second one with the A1 here, and the debuff bar was full. Now I needed to deal enough damage, 2 million damage. That's also a lot of damage. And we're at 75% turn meter from the Viper form, so I don't have a lot of time, right? I'm counting the debuffs, going all in with the A2. It's like 1.5 million damage. Now I just need one more ally attack with Lady MIKAGE, and that's it. And Lady MIKAGE actually takes a turn, obviously, is fast enough, has increased speed, and boom, there we go. All trials that I wanted completed in the first cycle. Now I want to show you a little hiccup here, how dangerous it can be after completing that many trials. My champions are fairly tanky. I have a HARIMA death-based champion, but at some point it doesn't really matter, because a chimera will just start ignoring defense. So really what matters is the HP and so on. Chimera swaps forms, strips all buffs, and boom, almost killed my SIPHI, killed ARBAIS, killed HARIMA. If the chimera would have killed SIPHI there, it would have been over. Luckily, at this point, I already completed all the trials that I needed. I got all the mythical mats secured by turn 40. Still, I would have lost a lot of damage and clash points, and this was a pretty huge hiccup right here. And I was thinking like, oh man, I don't know if I can come back from this. But I was able to slowly revive everyone. I needed a Harima backup so I can place a decrease attack, create more survivability, make sure the chimera doesn't deal too much damage, and then revived everyone back up. It was pretty damn close to a wipe though. And yeah, in the end, 215 million damage. Yeah, I couldn't ask for more. I got 4.4 billion clash points. So if I would do 2 keys like that, I would easily get the 8 billion clash points and then also 40 mythical mats. And I think this is a pretty solid balance in terms of mythical mats and clash points. Also, I got 16 trials in total, a lot of relic mats in general. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this team. This is probably the best week for me personally to do this, to maximize the amount of mythical eyeballs and clash score. So yeah, pretty damn amazing. Now let's go over the gear real quick. So Lady Mikage is in a Relentless set and a 4-piece Merciless set. I also have a protection banner on her because it's just the fastest, or like the banner with the most speed that I have. And these are the stats. 330 speed, that's really all I'm caring about. And obviously 350 accuracy. She doesn't need that much accuracy because first of all, I'm providing the increased accuracy with ARBAIS most of the times. And then also Mikage is ignoring resistance with her skills if they are booked. But for me, that's very important. So I booked her. And also I have the Purged Shadow Relic on her, which is kind of like another Relentless set. If you use her A1 and one of her skills are on cooldown, pretty amazing. This is probably one of the best relics for support champions for Chimera because you just get so many extra turns and you cycle your skills back. So I can't stress it enough how important this relic is. Obviously, all the important skills are booked on Lady Mikage. The A1 is not that important. You don't need the 10% extra damage unless you want to min-max, and crit cap her or whatever. But I don't really need it. Then I have Cruelty on her, which is also a little bit useless because Harima is already decreasing the defense by 30%, and it doesn't stack with Cruelty. It's basically a Cruelty on Harima's skill. We decrease the defense faster, I guess. And these are the masteries. I went with War Master, which really helps with the max HP trial on the Ram form. Then we have ARBAIS here, and I put ARBAIS now in the second impulse set, which is absolutely amazing. I have a 24% chance to reduce a random skill, or like 2 times 12% chance to reduce a random skill, which is pretty amazing. I cycle that turn meter boost back so quick, it's absolutely nuts. And that just causes everybody else to get more turns, do more damage, and so on. So yeah. I have her in a 3-piece protection set, in 2 impulse sets, and 1 Pharaoh banner, which is my best banner from the Sylvan Watchers with a triple speed roll, just for additional accuracy as well. And these are the stats: 394 speed, 519 accuracy. I wanted to hit 500 accuracy because her passive on the alternate form, which places the decreased speed, doesn't ignore resistance, so you want to make sure you have enough accuracy to place this because it's really important. I have the Journal of Necrotos on her. I wanted to try the Purged Shadow Relic. Maybe I'll do that in the future, but I didn't want to risk it to take some extra turns with her sometimes when I don't really want to, especially when she is the Ram dual target and stuff like that. So maybe I'll try it in the future, but here I just use the Journal of Necrotos because she has a very high turn meter boost, 30%, right? 20% of 30% is like another 6% turn meter boost. And then she's completely booked, like every single skill is booked. And these are the masteries. I don't have War Master on her because, like I said, I did want to have enough accuracy, and that's why I went with Eagle Eye and also Master Hexaf to extend those debuffs. It's very important. Then I had Lydia in a Toxic set, and I kept the 5 pieces of Feral that I had on her anyway. I didn't really change that much. I just put on the fastest Toxic set that I had, And I was actually sacrificing a lot of accuracy, but with the 6-star soul, I was still able to maintain a reasonable amount of speed and accuracy. So 307 speed. Normally, she would be at like 330, close to 340 with a 9-piece feral set, and over 600 accuracy. But here I hit 520, which was absolutely fine to place debuffs. So yeah, that's what you should aim for, like 500 accuracy and 300 speed. And as I said, a toxic set is needed to fill up the debuff bar for the Viper trial, where you have to place 10 debuffs, and block active skills cannot be one of those debuffs. So very important. Also, I gave her the Gaze of Damnation for additional accuracy, which really helped to hit the stats. Completely booked Nature's Bounty to be able to convert the fear into true fear, so you don't take reflect damage from ram form. And then here are the masteries: Master Hexa, Lasting Gifts, and War Master. SIPHI was, as always, in a 9-piece protection set to boost the damage from Harima and also keep the buffs protected. Actually very important and valuable in the Chimera clan boss. She's at 395 speed, and that's pretty much all I really care about. And like, I always try to go for like 4-5k defense and then the rest into HP. The Purge Shadow Relic seems to be really one of the best relics, especially on a reviver like SIPHI, because her turn meter boost has a 4-turn cooldown. Her revive has a 4-turn cooldown, so once you use her A2, you have like 3 turns where you're doing absolutely nothing but A1. And every time you use the A1, you will have a chance to get an extra turn. And 14% chance, that's like almost a relentless set. If you rank this up to 6, and I will definitely do that at some point, you have a 22% chance. That's like almost 1 out of 4 A1s will be an extra turn. Absolutely crazy, in my opinion, especially for a champion like this that has like relatively high cooldowns and is not using the A3 or A2 that often. And yeah, you can just cycle that turn meter boost back fast enough, and those buffs as well. For a blessing, I have Intimidating Presence here, which I also have on ARBAIS, but you just want to have one, obviously, in your team. And then here are the masteries, also Lasting Gifts and War Master. My Harima is in a seal set and a 6-piece Merciless set, as well as 1 feral piece for additional accuracy. These are the stats: 6.2k defense, 239 speed, crit capped, 340 crit damage, and 400 accuracy. You could maybe go with a little bit lower than that because of the increased accuracy from ARBAIS, but 400 is a good spot to be in because you're like close to having enough accuracy and not really low where you start resisting all the time. So this is a very good spot to be in with your nuker with like 400 accuracy. I have the Ereti Coronet on her, obviously, because you get another 30% more damage. This, Harima works very similar to Ninja, which is kind of amazing to me, but she's defense based. Obviously, she doesn't stack that many stats like Ninja does, but she does. And she decreases the defense as well, so you have kind of like a built-in cruelty on her A2. So you can stack her defense up by 100%, and then you also decrease the target's defense by 5%, which stacks up to 30. So this is pretty much a 6-star cruelty, or even better than a 6-star cruelty. Let me actually check real quick again. Always forget how much it actually is. So yeah, for bosses, it's actually only 20%. So you don't really, like with Harima, you don't really need cruelty unless you want to decrease the defense faster. Then I went for Nature's Wrath, obviously, because I get another 15% damage, depending on your blessing level, obviously. I'm at a 5-star soul for Harima, so 15% more damage is what I get. So I need to place like 6 debuffs to stack up the Ereti Coronet, or I think it was 7. And while I'm doing this, I'm also stacking up the damage from Nature's Wrath, so that's adding up as well. With a 6-star blessing, I would get another 15% more damage, which would be absolutely amazing. And then here are the masteries, Master Hexa as well. And with Master Hexa, I was not really happy because if you extend the debuffs to 3-turn duration, it's very hard to replace it when it's at 2. You need Master Hexa to proc again. So I would probably not advise you to have Master Hexa, as she's placing a decrease attack with her A1 anyway, and you're ally attacking a lot with MIKAGE. So that's probably something that I would change, but that's just min-maxing stuff. So you stack up that Nature's Ref and erase the coronet damage faster. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. This was my team, or this is my team for this week. I think this is the best I ever did, right, in terms of mythical mats and clash points. 4.4 billion clash and 20 mythical mats. I can't ask for more. I think this is a very solid result. And yeah, hopefully at some point I can find a team that can do 25 mythical mats. But for now, if I can get 20 each week per key, I'm cool with that. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please hit the like button. It really goes a long way. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And make sure you hit the bell for the notification for future uploads. And yeah, YouTube will suggest you a video here that the algorithm thinks that you like. I appreciate your time, guys. And yeah, see you in the next one.